our 2016 ACC Coach of the Year, Justin Fuente. Congratulations, Coach.
Can't tell you what a tremendous honor it is to be recognized as the ACC Coach of the Year. I want to thank Commissioner Swafford. I want to thank Whit Babcock, our athletic director, Dr. Sands, our president at Virginia Tech for having the faith in me to take over, coming off of the legendary career of Coach Beamer. I really view this recognition as a team award. They don't give these awards to coaches that have bad teams. And I can't say enough about our coaching staff, our support personnel, and our players that have bought into everything that we've been preaching since day one. And it's a true tip of the cap to them and their work ethic and their desire to continue the tradition of Virginia Tech football. And we're excited to be here. In the championship game, our kids have done a great job throughout the year through the ups and downs of the season. We've got a tremendous challenge in front of us. Coach Swinney and his team are very talented, very well coached, and our kids are excited for the challenge. That being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Again, please reminder, state your name and affiliation as well. Questions? Front row here.
Coach Trevor Groves, CUTigers.com. For those of us that don't cover Virginia Tech on a regular basis, you hear a lot about Bucky Hodges and also Isaiah Ford, but Cam Phillips is actually second on the team in receptions and reception yards. How much has he meant to your offense this season?
Well, Cam's done a great job for us. He's played in the slot. He's a pretty versatile player. He's gotten a few carries from time to time. The great thing about all three of those kids you mentioned, they're all three highly intelligent, so we can move them around, line them up in different spots, ask them to do different things, and they pick it up incredibly quickly. But Cam, having that extra guy on the inside has certainly helped us be more efficient offensively.
Question in the back row towards the right.
Hey, Coach. David Hood with TigerNet. I know in covering Coach Swinney, he doesn't set goals like, hey, we've got to make the ACC Championship game or a college football playoff. But when you took this job, did you have an internal timetable of I want to be in an ACC Championship game or win an ACC Championship by a certain time?
Yeah, I don't think that's, at least for me personally, that's not the way to go about it. There's so many things that happen that are so many things that are beyond your control. External factors that can occur that can either accelerate the process or decelerate the process. For me, it's about establishing your identity and working towards that on a daily basis and getting to the end of the season and tallying up the wins and seeing how you did. But I've always stopped short of putting those things on the calendar in terms of we've got to do this by this certain date, and instead just doesn't mean that we don't make goals and we don't have aspirations. We do, but for us, it's about the process on a daily basis.
Question here on the left, third row.
Justin, as a follow-up to that, when spring practice ended, what type of team did you think you had to work with?
Well, obviously, in the springtime, we had an offense. You think about the first day of spring, we had an offense going on one day of installation versus a defense going on 29 years. And so it was a little lopsided, particularly early. But, by the end of the spring, we were still a long ways away. And I think the most dramatic moment for me in terms of our improvement was the difference between the last day of spring and the first day of two-a-days, the first day of fall camp. To see the work that our kids had done on their own in terms of understanding the scheme offensively and defensively and special teams wise, and the gains they'd made physically, that let me know that this was important to them because they had to do it on their own. And, that very first day of practice was, as the head coach that's trying to step back and take a good look at his team and the team's development, that let me know that this was important to these guys and they were going to do whatever we needed to have done in order to give ourselves a chance.
Here on the front row.
Hey, Justin, has Bud or has you talked with your defense about capitalizing on turnovers at all this game, something extra that maybe you wanted to drill into your defense, and is that an added opportunity for a guy who likes to run defense as aggressively as Bud does?
Well, I hope we can cause a few. I mean, the bottom line is nobody has stopped them offensively. I mean, you're trying to slow them down, try to limit a possession by getting a turnover, trying to do anything you can to keep them out of the end zone. And if you can create a turnover or two and in turn hold on to the ball offensively, then you have a chance to kind of steal a possession there. And, I think that's going to be important for us to have a chance.
On the back row towards the left.
Hey, Coach. Aaron Brenner of the Post and Courier. A few questions ago when you were asked about trying to win championships right away, you said the thing you can control is your own identity. What would you say is the identity of 2016 Virginia Tech? Well, for us, it's about hard, smart, and tough. I think we want to be known as a group of people that, whether it's on the football field or off the football field, we work hard in the classroom, in the community, on the field. We have an intelligent group of kids. They play the game. They play smart football, and do well in school, and then a group of guys that are tough regardless of circumstances, whether it's rain or cold weather or wind or you're up or you're down or you're doing well or you're not. Our guys battle through, and that's the mentality we've instilled since day one.
Over here standing on the right.
Justin, you mentioned earlier that naturally during the spring the defense was ahead of the offense. You recruited him in Memphis. Obviously, you recruited him at Virginia Tech. How similar is what Gerard was doing at Trinity Valley to what you guys did at Memphis and are doing at Virginia Tech, and how quickly did he make that transition?
Well, he did a pretty good job with it. It was a little difficult in the spring too, just because some of our guys weren't out there on a consistent basis. With our wide receivers and that sort of stuff. Isaiah didn't do much this spring. So it was just a little difficult to judge. It was all about, trying to get a handle on the scheme and what we're going to do. How different is what Gerard's being asked to do now from what he did in junior college? I'd say there's quite a big difference in terms of the way they were structured was to run 110 plays every game and, try and, if they had to win the game 62-58, that's what they were going to do, and just extreme pushing of the tempo, almost like the Baylor coaching tree type deal. And we're not like that, but some of the skill sets have carried over though, in terms of running with the football or play action pass game and that sort of stuff. And he picked it up really well. He's very diligent, as did Brendan. That was part of the reason that thing drug on so long was that Brendan is a sharp kid as well, and they were both learning at a pretty steep curve pretty quickly.
Question towards the middle, towards the back.
Hey, Justin, Mike from Richmond Times-Dispatch. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned earlier in the week about Clemson's defensive backs. As you studied this week, what do you see in the matchup for your outside guys and the athletes that they have on the edge?
Well, it's going to be a tremendous challenge. They're very good in the secondary, and they will play tight coverage. There's times and you'll go several series and other teams are trying to run the ball and the ball won't get past the front 6 or 7. But they're skilled. They certainly understand the scheme. They'll be the biggest challenge we've had to date, no question.
If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Here in the second row on the left.
Hey, Coach. Marty Smith, ESPN. You're a quarterback guy. You coach some really good ones. When you look at Deshaun Watson, what separates him from other quarterbacks?
Well, from afar, you know, not being in the meeting room or being around him on a daily basis, my impression of him is he's an incredibly driven young man. You know, things I've read about him in terms of his academic aspirations, combined with his athletic goals and achievements, he can do it all. He's got length. He's mastered their scheme. Offensively, he's in total control. He's played in big ball games, and he's not just a thrower of the football. He's an accomplished passer. He's got a bright future in this game. I don't see any weakness in anything that he does.
Questions? Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Over here on the right.
Justin, one of the hallmarks of Clemson's offense under Dabo seems to have been the effective use of the tight end. What have you seen from them in terms of how they use Leggett, and how important is that to? Because obviously Williams, you're paying attention to him on the perimeter, and Scott on the other side.
Well, the thing about it is he adds in the run game and the pass game. That's the true value of a dangerous tight end, is a guy that's versatile. You know, you can create mismatches offensively through versatile tailbacks, guys that can line up in the backfield or line up at wide receiver, or through versatile tight ends, guys that can line up in the backfield and block, give you an extra hat in the run game, give you an extra hat in the protection game, and also get out and make plays in the passing game. Those guys are hard to come by. You know, the guys that can both add value running the football, and then the guys that you actually want to take advantage of their one-on-one matchups. Those guys are few and far between, and he's certainly one of them. They've done a great job moving him around. You know, at times you've got to, you're not sure where he's going to start out or where he's going to end up, and then being able to run the ball and then play action and get him the ball. He's a pretty accomplished weapon.
Any other questions? Raise your hand. We'll get the microphones to you. Anyone else? Question here on the left, standing.
Zach Lever, WDBJ7 out of Roanoke. Coach, obviously Clemson has tons of pressure on them to make the playoff. They win this game, they're in the playoff. You guys, what are you telling the team in terms of how much pressure you guys have? Do you feel like you're playing with house's money, anything like that?
Well, I mean, I understand that angle, but our kids, you know, they don't, you know, if you frame it like that, it's as if they shouldn't expect to do well, and that's, you know, that's not where we're at mentally. You know, I mean, we know we have a tremendous challenge. We know we're playing a well-coached, talented football team, but you know, we didn't do all this work just to get here. You know, we still have work left to do. Our kids are prepared that way, and we'll know we have to play extremely well in order to get it close there at the end. But you know, I've stayed away from the connotation of, you know, you've got nothing to lose, because I don't believe that. You know, I think we've got a great opportunity, and we've got a great group of kids that have worked incredibly hard for this opportunity. Now it's our job just to prepare and do the best we can.
Standing in the back.
Coach Mark Dofer with WYFF out of Greenville, South Carolina. Coach Swinney talked a little bit this week about his relationship with you. I'm curious about your interactions with Coach Swinney over the last 5 or 6 years.
Well, we've stayed in touch, certainly. I've enjoyed watching his teams from afar. Occasionally we've had conversations about players, and, you know, through a, you know, long story short, just through a few things, the guys that have ended up at Memphis or whatever. I've enjoyed our relationship. We just spent about 10 minutes in the back with Coach and his wife, and you know, it was fun to get caught up and see his kids and see how they've grown. I'm happy for his success. It's certainly well deserved, and you know, quite frankly, I have enjoyed the relationship.
Question here in the front row on the right.
Ava Wallace, Washington Post. You talked after the Virginia game about how it might be a little bit harder to get your guys to focus, having won the Coastal Division and manage the highs, I guess is the phrase that you like to use. How were they this week in practice? Did you have to goad them a little bit?
No, they were really good. I was really pleased with them. I think it comes back to our senior class, their leadership, and it hadn't been an issue. You know, they've been incredibly focused. I think they understand the dynamics of the game, and I've done a good job preparing.
Standing in the back left.
Coach Dennis Carter at WSCT in Lynchburg. I was going to ask you about practice this week. Have you noticed any extra bounce in the players' steps, and what can you do as a staff to kind of prepare a young team for the big stage of Saturday night?
Well, I was telling Whit Babcock this the other day. I really believe the second game of the year has a chance to help us in this. You know, playing at the Tennessee in the Battle of Bristol, we did not play well, and I'm certainly not taking anything away from Tennessee. It's just the facts are we just didn't handle the whole situation well, and we've talked about it at length many times since then as a team. And I like the way that we've matured throughout the year, our emotional maturity, our ability to put the previous week behind us and focus on the next week and handle the emotions of big ball games. And I feel good about where we're at now as opposed to week 2.